So one of the things, and I know this doesn't sound very exciting, but spend 10 minutes a day, spend a little bit of time, or even just driving to work, or spend a little bit of time every day thinking about the processes and activities that you do in your business every single day that is repetitive. Because I guarantee you that if you can do it at a desk and click a button to solve the problem, then there's an AI that can solve for that for you and do it at scale and probably better than you can, if that's out of your wheelhouse of expertise.
Hey, you're listening to Cracking the Code, the podcast for leaders building and growing service-based businesses. If you are in legal or medical or financial services, if you have letters behind your name that qualify you to do what you do for a living, you are in the right place. I am your host, Rob Riggs, here to bring you intel and access that are designed to decode how technology can be and should be impacting your growth. All right, let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Cracking the Code. Today's guest is somebody who's actually lived the journey that most software founders dream about. So Matthew Whyatt, I appreciate you being here, but you've had some extreme success growing your own software company and have turned that success into helping other software founders succeed as well. Thanks for being on the show. Why don't you take a second to introduce yourself for those who may not know you?
Well, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Well, as Rob said, my name is Matthew. I started my first tech business in 1999. So that might give you some experience, my understanding of how very old I am. So over that time, I've seen a lot of things occur. So we started our first tech business back then, grew that to a reasonable level of success. We had 70 people across most of Australia, New Zealand, and some in Hong Kong. And then we exited that through various challenges. We had ups and downs throughout the way. It wasn't always up and to the right. Took a year off, lived in Bali, in Indonesia, and then come back for the last decade or so. I've been launching existing products, helping other businesses launch their products, and in between all of that, I've been running an agency called Tech Talk, as in Engine Talk, TORQUE, not TALK, and I help businesses sell more to the right people, and it's a really simple mission, and the execution continues to evolve. Whether you're a service provider or a tech business, there are always ways to actually promote yourself more effectively and use the most effective tools that are in the market at any one time.
So sure. Okay. Awesome. And thanks for that deeper dive. Why don't you talk through at a high level, what are some of the tools that you're walking tech and SaaS companies through implementing, and what are the successes that you're seeing?
Well, one of the things that I think we have to establish a North Star in what's true. And what is true is people buy today very differently than how they did certainly back in 1999 when I first started. And
Sure.
it's because most people are looking to, if you were to even go to buy a pizza in a new town. I just moved to the US 7 months ago. So of course, I'm looking for a local pizza or burger joint. I'm going to go onto Google reviews. I'm going to ask some friends. I'm going to read those reviews. I'm going to figure out what's going to be good for me. So of course, that's exactly how people buy almost everything. And so really what is the current established understanding is once an individual starts operating like that, they know how to sell to B2B or in any market, is they need to build their profile. So what tools are we using? Well, back in 5 years ago, I was helping business owners grow their profile. So we would have journalists interview them. We would have copywriters write the copy. We would have social media team break it up. It would be distributed across all different platforms. And it would cost, between $4,000 to $7,000 a month to have that program running as a PR. Now what we have is we've built a product internally called Authority RevUp. So that's the tool we use. And we help customers solve that whole series of problems there for like $297 a month. Because it's not about it's about holding the outcome as the true North Star. And then the execution is really what's the most modern available tool that's available to us. And of course, today it's AI.
Sure. And how are you seeing AI impacting the way businesses sell, even differently than like 5 years ago, right? Before like ChatGPT became the default go-to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are expecting a higher level of personalization. I think the personalized, individualized the products and services. We have even our drugs. See these drugs being sold on TV. They're now compounding. So actually, we take into account exactly what Rob needs, and then those people go and produce that drug specifically for what Rob needs, rather than saying, "Oh, we've got a thing for headaches, go take that thing." And so
Right.
that follows all the way through. So hyper personalization is the name of the game. Whether you're selling services or whether you're selling software, you need to be able to speak specifically to the individual's issues and how AI is solving for that. Well, AI is solving it for because you've got the ability of a research team of 5 to 8 people in your pocket at all times. They can go out there and tell you everything you need to know about a particular person. So, for example, I have a thing on Claude. I mean, I'm not using anything in particularly crazy. I have
Sure.
Claude set up that I type in into a project called Go, and what it does is reads my calendar, reads my emails, gives me context, gives me a brief on every single person I'm meeting with for an entire day in a short snippet. So I can walk into a meeting, 2 minutes prepared, but I've got their full history in my emails, everything all laid out in one space. I'm fully prepared for every conversation.
Nice. And then, obviously AI is becoming more and more a part of our daily use case and informing the things that we're buying. So I hear talk that by 2030 sales are going to happen repless, without a person in the loop selling, right? Because the AI being hyper personalized can recommend the exact solution that's right for my use case. Do you see that happening that quickly? And how do service providers like our audience prepare for that?
I see the journey from becoming product problem or company aware, and then the
Mhm.
purchase decision. I see marketing and AI doing more of that work. Currently sits at about 70%, 69 point something percent of the journey
Sure.
towards a purchase occurs in the marketing world. Whereas back in the day when I started, the people we'd put an advert in the newspaper and somebody would phone us, and then the rep would call backwards and forwards. We'd go run around, and then they close the deal. Today, 70% of that activity occurs online because all of that material is available. I just
Okay.
don't see corporates and large governments or mid-market bigger really moving completely repless. Let's go with that word.
Sure.
Because what they're looking for is, so there's value in the diagnosis, there's value in the conversation, and value in identifying what occurs that's not really what the company wants to promote. These are the areas in which our implementation causes issues. These are the areas in which the human needs to be involved in the loop. So I just never see a time in the future where a salesperson is not needed.
Yeah.
So much like, we were talking about how, brick and mortar stores are all going to go broke because Amazon, because because PetSmart or whatever it's called, pets.com came out in the late early 2000s. Well, that's never really occurred. There's still, and I've, as I said, I recently moved to America. Retail's still doing, and plenty of retail. That you go to these parks, these giant football stadium sized stores selling the most narrow of niche products. They're still out
Yeah.
there making sales every day. So the human element's never going to leave us.
Okay, great. Great to hear. Um, very good. Then, so you work with SaaS companies. We work with service companies. Where are the differences? Where are the similarities? And what are the patterns that you see that would be helpful to our market versus yours in
Well, I
getting
think
to a growth stage, right?
Well, I think service businesses have an incredible opportunity and advantage. I think technology businesses are just expected to deliver on technology, where services businesses, that human element, that one-to-one piece, is still going to be massively valuable. There's a huge opportunity for them to implement various elements of AI throughout their business operations. But what that should be doing is the goal is, how do I elevate it to a point where I have more face time with clients? How do I elevate myself out of the doing, which is what AI can do? How do I give myself the opportunity to spend more time with clients? How do give them more of my energy, more of me? And that's where I think service providers have a significant advantage, is that they are already in a position where they can communicate at that human level. They're just going to be able to do that for more hours per day, simply because of the technology that allows them to elevate them out of that desk job.
Sure. Hey, this is Rob Riggs, and I wanted to take just a second to tell you about Code Conspirators, our sponsor here. And we are a technology-focused performance marketing agency serving professional service firms. So that's legal, medical, financial, engineering. If you take a test to do what you do for a living, we help you grow your practice with websites and apps and software and performance marketing. That's organic, paid ads, retargeting, conversion optimization. And we're also doing a whole host of things with CRM, AI, and automation that's been bringing our clients tremendous value. If you're curious at all, go to codeconspirators.com to learn more. Now back to the show.
I think that both software and service, the industries think that if I build it the right way, if I productize this the right way, then people are just going to naturally find me and come and want to do business with me, right? But I find that those who are excellent at what they do are often bad at marketing. They're bad at communicating the value that they're bringing. How do you help them overcome that?
Well, yeah, that's right. Because people have a focus on what's important. They have a value system, and that value system says, well, if I am, I have always been rewarded because I'm the smartest person in the room. I provide the
Sure.
best solution. I am the guy or the girl that answer every question. Well, that the age of having all the answers is really moving on, where I can go to ChatGPT or Claude and ask a question. I'll get an answer that sort of sits in the middle of the road, and because I don't really know what good or bad looks like, I'll get an answer, and that looks like a good answer. So the value there that service providers have is that context and is that communication. Because the thing is, businesses don't buy things; people buy
Right.
things.
Right.
So sales shouldn't really ever be thinking about, and we always do because I'm in marketing. I still use the acronyms. It's B2C, business to customer, or B2B, business to business, or of course, then you've got the other derivations being B to government or corporate or whatever you might want to call it. At the end of the day, none of those businesses, corporates, mid-market businesses, or steel manufacturers, none of those buy anything. It's the human that buys something. So it's
Yeah.
that human in the loop piece that actually has the person go, this product purchase is going to give me confidence, security, and allow me to confidently tell my friends about it. See, this is the thing that a lot of service providers need to really embrace: is how are they perceived in the market? What level of communication has occurred? What sort of evidence exists in the marketplace that when Mary tells Joanne that she's going to go see Mike, and Joanne Googles Mike, there's enough evidence in the marketplace that Mike is a good guy and he's going to be able to help Mary with her problem? Because what's going to happen is the person, or everybody wants to be an expert, they're going to Google them and they're going to look and go, well, I don't know, he doesn't have a lot out there. And that's an issue for a lot of service providers. They spend all their time focusing on their service, which is what they think they should be doing. In
Right.
reality, they also need to carve off a little bit of time every week and try to communicate to the market, demonstrate their value. I'll give you an example of a service provider that I came across 2 weeks ago, and this might act as a case study for people listening. So I was
Sure.
on LinkedIn and I got a message from a person saying, hey, we provide financial services to CEOs and high net worth individuals. Is that of interest? And I didn't reply. It was from South and he didn't reply. And it was a bit of a weak ask anyway, because I'd spent no energy or time building a relationship with me. Then on Sunday night, sent a message, if this is not of interest, just let me know. And the thing is, I've just moved to the US. I do need some financial advice. But I'm
Right.
not going to go with the guy who spent zero effort, zero time, energy, understanding who I am, what I'm doing. So what I do is I became product and problem aware. I went then Googling, and then I found somebody and as I was typing my email address into somebody's lead magnet. So a lead magnet is something people give away for free to get you into their database. So I give them my email address, they give me some value back, right? So I was getting a guide for expats and how to invest in the US and that sort of thing. So I was typing away, and I was just typing, and I went, hang on, this guy on LinkedIn has generated a lead for this other company. Because I became product, problem, and company aware, but I didn't want to go with him because he made no effort or energy to actually to build a relationship with me. So I went looking, and the person who was publishing and communicating effectively online was the one that I ended up going into their lead funnel and doing business with.
Absolutely. It's because the exchange of value, right? I'm giving you something to help you, whether rather than an email, a cold email, often that is very self-serving.
Yep. 100%. So really, if you're out there putting marketing messages out there, you need to see what value you're offering and how are you able to enter the conversation that already exists in that client's mind, and then add some value. So add value first, then do an ask.
Right, right. Huge. So you recently put out a blog post about the backlink era, right? And you say kind of the that 2026 is kind of where backlinks kind of are going to die. What's taking its place, and how are you coming to help your client with this?
So don't know if I've specifically talked about backlinks. You might have me confused, but I can definitely talk to that topic. So the thing is, what we need to do is if we are publishing blogs and we are communicating with the market, one of the main key things is you need to make sure that when you publish those articles, those blogs, those thought leadership pieces, is they need to be written for also the AI crawler to accept. So Google and the Google guys back 20 years ago, they created PageRank and they would scan the page and create the context and understand, and then say Rob wants to look for dentists and there's dentists in the area, and now that works, right? So they get it. But today, what the searchers are doing for it, and AI generated SEO, or search or AI optimization, is that AI reads it very differently. AI wants to look for relevancy, they want to look for recency, and they want to look for ease of information. And so what that looks like is a too long don't read snippet at the beginning of the article, a series of dot points that's easily consumable by the AI, and then a series of frequently asked questions. Because the thing is, the AI is not just going to push up a page, it's going to answer a question. And so if you've asked a question and the AI can crawl your page and find the answer to that, it's going to give the answer in that search, which happens above the search terms, as you probably would have seen in Google or any search that you use, and then adds a little hyperlink to your web page where that was drawn from. That's the meta. That's really where we need to be looking at. So every one of our blogs or communication pieces needs to have those three elements: a too long don't read, a summary, TLDR, dot points, and frequently asked questions. So that's going to be driving the answers.
Sure. Are they so the perspective on what makes a good blog post, for example, has evolved over the years. And for a while, it was get really long, really deep, 1,500, 2,000 words. Has that shifted and shortened based on the AI being a new reader, a new audience that we're trying to please?
Great question, good context. And what's happened is that what's happened, we're now back at that longer form, 1,200 words more, right? But what in between, in between it went from long form. So Google says, oh, you've got lots to say about it. Then be more succinct, and we want to give more shorter answers. We want to help the AI, help the search engine out. Now, Google once again is looking, or the AI search is now looking once again for people who've got deep insight, deep knowledge, deep reservoirs of information they can share, and that is in a longer form article. So I would not be scared of putting out a 1,200, 1,500 word essay almost on a particular topic. And that also talks directly to how LinkedIn have recently updated their algorithm. They've recently updated their algorithm to look at your about page and your current posting. And if they are not in synchronization, if your about page says you're an HR person, but 6 years ago you started selling trucks, I'm making stuff up here, but and now all you talk about is trucks. The thing is, the LinkedIn is going to go, well, the HR person, what do they know about trucks? Let's not promote or push their opinion out. So the challenge for anybody listening today is to go look at your LinkedIn about profile, make sure it aligns with where you currently are today.
Yeah, yeah. We've seen the credence that AI gives people. It does a really a phenomenal job at highlighting people that have expressed very specific expertise, and kind of ignoring people that are just surface level fluff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So for sure. So the we've seen also over the past just even recently the past 3 to 6 months, the AI overviews kind of taking command over people's search experience. And how long is it before AI mode is default for all industries? We've seen it in somebody goes to Google and searches for a plumber or roofer or whatever, where our need for an immediate response. If I've got a gaping hole in my roof, I need that fixed immediately before the next rainstorm. If I've got a toilet that's clogged, I'm not going to plan 3 to 6 months out in the future. I need to solve today, right? Where are we in terms of that AI mode overview default in Google's search experience become a default for other industries as well?
I think the answer is only as fast as somebody's willing to move, because it exists now,
Hmm.
right now. So I'm a member of a club here in Princeton, and my wife said, "Oh, can you make me a cocktail?" I was at a bar. I literally took a photo of the bar, went to Claude and said, "My wife likes citrusy types of drinks. What can I make?" Gave it the photo and gave me 3 different recipes. Right.
Love it.
So that exists now. It just depends on how quickly the consumer is starting to do those things. Take a photo of your roof. This is what it needs fixed. How much will it usually cost? If I'm a lawyer or a plumber, and I think that proper service providers, when I say proper, I'm not disparaging any service provider, but
Sure.
people who go out to your home to fix something, these are the jobs, and Mike Rowe would obviously be delighted to see what's happened in the world in the last, with the guy from Dirty Jobs.
Right.
Those guys and girls are going to be, there is not. It's very expected that these guys are going to be out there making way more than a lawyer, way more than these desk-based, research-based businesses. Unless that lawyer, then also, if the lawyer doesn't move, then they're going to get rolled over the top of by somebody who knows how to use AI more effectively. So a lawyer trained in AI is going to be way more effective than a lawyer who's not trained. Same
Absolutely.
with a real service provider who goes out to your house. Those companies are going to continue to grow, because you can't AI a fixed toilet. You can't fix
Right.
that with AI. You can't
Uh-huh.
fix. It's not a knowledge; it's an execution layer. And so this is what I think about in my business is that I give away all the IP about how I go to market. I give it all away on monthly webinars. If they join my newsletter, I just tell them everything that I know and anything I see happening. They get it all for free, at volume, no holes barred. Because I don't believe that there is a lack of knowledge. I think there's a lack of not experience, but execution. And it's that execution layer is really going
Right.
to cause businesses to significantly grow. And that's what, when the proper service providers got, in Australia, we call them Sparky. So electricians, plumbers.
Yeah.
I still every now and then have Australianisms creeping out. Those types of trades will continue to, and I think the good ones will accelerate significantly over the course of the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Fair. So Matthew, it's been great connecting and talking through your perspective on the AI and how it's impacting marketing. What have we not covered that you feel would be a good add for the listeners?
So one of the things, and I know this doesn't sound very exciting, but spend 10 minutes a day, spend a little bit of time, or even just driving to work, or spend a little bit of time every day thinking about the processes and activities that you do in your business every single day that is repetitive. Because I guarantee you that if you can do it at a desk and click a button to solve the problem, then there's an AI that can solve for you and do it at scale, and probably better than you can, if that's out of your wheelhouse of expertise.
Absolutely agreed. Where can people reach out for more information?
So if people want to build their business profile, build their profile online, you can find me at authorityrevup.com. And of course on LinkedIn, Matthew Whyatt, just search Matthew Whyatt, you'll find me. I've got 15,000 followers there. So I'm pretty easy to find.
All right, we'll have a link to both in the show notes. But Matthew, I appreciate you being here and sharing your wisdom. Okay, great conversation, right? But don't let the episode end here. We have packed the show notes with everything you need to take action. Key takeaways are down there, as well as links to the resources we mentioned in the show. And also grab our assessments. They're the same deep dive analyses that we use with our high performing clients on a regular basis. And we typically uncover million-dollar opportunities that many firms and practices completely miss on their own. And also remember, every successful firm has started with someone, one person who decided to stop accepting good enough and start demanding exceptional. You can make that decision today. Until next time, we will keep conspiring for your success.